Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now, today, I'm going to be doing a video about the people that I love that world build. And that means just anyone who can create a concept world out of music. And I was gonna say and film too, but like there's just so many people that you can like go on for that I think music, as of right now, I can do another episode of people who world build, but of shows and movies that are better, but I think as of now, this little video is going to be about my favorite artists that world build in music. So I have so many artists that I listen to, but I feel like nowadays there's only certain people that can like really bring the full shebang. Like, and it's like, not even like I'm expecting a lot out of these artists, but I just feel like there's more they could have done with it. There's gonna be an example in here that you'll notice, but it's just like the ones that I know consistently bring it to me every time are the people that I am going to mention in this video. So I have at least 5 people in mind off the top of my head, and these 5 people happen to be people that I actually listen to a lot. One of them I don't listen to as much, but she still gives me everything that I need when it comes to world building and music. So we're gonna go down the list, and I hope you guys can relate and enjoy this video. Okay, so my first all-time favorite, you guys already know, Marina and the Diamonds, but now just Marina. Either way, she is one of my favorite people who can world build because she somehow creates each album, and I'm gonna start like literally because she's my favorite, I'm gonna go through each, but I'm gonna do it quickly and understand, like, you know, there's time for others, but she's the only person I'll go through all her albums for. So Family Jewels, that album on its own was, in my head, it felt like a psychological mindfuck because it kind of addresses bigger questions and bigger issues that we don't typically see being talked about in music. Family Jewels is by far one of her most underrated albums in general, but it addresses a lot of stuff like family structure, it addresses structure in society, concepts of like self-fulfillment, and she talks about like a lot of stuff. She even tackles some mental health things within the song Obsessions, which is a great song. I really recommend you guys listen to that one. It's so beautiful. But it's just great because I feel like Marina had opened a huge door in pop culture and pop music when she had released Family Jewels, but then like I guess everyone just let it die, and it sounds sad because it's like it was her first project, but I feel like, I mean, not her first but her first studio project, and I just feel like it addressed a lot of stuff. It created this edgy pop world that like I was so drawn to, and like as a younger kid I was listening to Family Jewels all the time. Like, I'm not kidding, all the time. Go back to my YouTube history, you'll see like Family Jewels, the reenactment, music video shit. Like, I was into it, and that's just because I felt like it was separate from the norm. It felt like it was its own world. It was its own different culture that I was okay with like being involved with. Like, I don't know, it made me feel very like different and special, and that's why I loved it. But it created this world for me, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. It was also like very like it was different. Like, there's Mowgli's Road and Guilty that have a little bit of like an edge, a little bit of a screamo edge to it, but it wasn't even that. Like, it's just completely far from it, but it gives you a good like mix of genres, and it's just amazing. Please go listen to that. Electra Heart gave me everything I wanted because Electra Heart on its own is like the most ultimate breakup album ever. Not even just breakup album, but getting over stuff. And it deals with a lot of concepts as well. Power and control, sexuality, sexualizing women, when people are constantly sexualizing women when they should be really focused on their brain and how fucking smart women are, you know, like, to be real, smarter than a lot of men. And it's crazy. Like, that album on its own, it's more like a world that surrounds itself in the idea of like archetypes, stereotypes, the ideal atmosphere for getting through breakups. In itself, it created this kind of grunge Tumblr world for me. When I was growing up listening to her, I remember the first song I ever heard from Marina was Bubblegum Bitch, and I was like, whoa, who is she? Like, I was obsessed. But when I went to go listen to the whole album, I was like, wow, this is a whole world of like archetypal kind of like personalities, and like the personalities on its own created this like, I don't know, this different sound in pop that I had not heard before. And she just in itself created like the most ultimate like fuck you album, and it's just great. I don't even know how to explain it. When it comes to Fruit was an album for me that was about acceptance and maturation and getting to the point where you feel like you are starting to understand yourself. You're starting to come to terms with who you are, your values, and your morals. And to me, that's how I felt. I felt like I was on this planet called Planet Fruit, which is a shirt that she had made and I have it, but it's like its own world, Planet Fruit. Like I felt like I was fully accepted in these songs. I felt like I was expressive in these songs, artsy, artful, all types of things. And when I was listening to this, I just was able to feel like myself. And that's what's crazy, is like that album was literally an album of acceptance and an album of coming to terms with you, you know, coming to terms with the things that you value. And it's just crazy because I know, like, for Marina herself, it was a very big album for her. It was her first, like, solo produced, written, everything. The label wasn't even behind her doing it, and then they got behind her when they started seeing sales and whatnot. But, like, still, it's like she broke away from the idea of, well, I don't really care what the studio wants me to produce. I'm going to produce this myself. And then the way that the sounds came together and this whole vision came together, it created a world. And that's why I was obsessed. Love and Fear, that was another one that she had put out. That one in itself is like a world surrounding emotions and feelings, and, you know, breaking through and analyzing these feelings and understanding, like, we are emotional people and sometimes things are out of our control, but the way we treat other people and the way we go about life all have to do with love and fear. And that's what I love. It was a very, like, feelings album. So yeah, and then she's working on her next one, which is, I'm assuming, going to be her mostly just worked on by women album, and that one is going to be amazing because I just know when women team up, it is like magic. I just love it. It's so great. And then, yeah, so that's the one that we have up to date with Marina, but she creates worlds with every project and it's just stunning. Okay, so the next one is Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is notorious for creating, I guess, worlds, but more, she creates movements and she creates statements, and that's what I love. But as of recently, her last 3 albums, or about 4 albums, have created more of this world concept in my head. Like, the concept itself created its own, you know, being. So, for instance, Chromatica. To me, I thought of it like Alice in Wonderland meets gay culture, and I just love it because it's its own world. It's hard to explain, but you get my concept when I'm talking about artists that can create worlds. And that album was just amazing. Joanne was another one. That one felt like its own sweet, and it's hard to explain. That one, it was more, okay, because it gave me a little more country vibes, but it also gave me more like personal stories. So it was like I was kind of in Lady Gaga's like world, it felt like, but not like the whole world of just being creative and artsy, but her personal world, it felt like. And then watching the documentary that she had while making that album was just, it was breathtaking. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I see the vision. And then Art Pop, oh my god, instant bang. Like, that shit, it blew up, like, and as it should, because it's so great, so great. But Art Pop in itself created this, like, to me, it's hard to say, but it created Art Pop. Art Pop created Art Pop. That's what it feels like for me. But it's just really hard to explain. Like, she created this whole idea of, like, it was kind of like club meets techno meets classical meets, it's hard to explain. She literally created a world out of art pop, and like, to know so many people identify with that album, and like, they can literally like tell you like, oh, this song changed my life, or this changed my life. And it's just crazy because I remember listening to that when I was younger, and I was like, wow, this is so creative. Like, I just love this. Like, I could live here, you know, in this album. That's what I loved about it. And it's so good. It's still one of my favorite albums to date. But yeah, so Lady Gaga definitely does that for me. Foster the People is another one that people are kind of passing up, and it's okay because I understand, like, some people just don't like that kind of music, but it's like a psychedelic, trippy kind of like indie music, and I love it. But in every album they drop, I feel like I'm connected to it on a metaphorical but like experience journey kind of like basis. So their album Supermodel and their album SHC, Sacred Hearts Club, those two were like spiritual journeys for me as I'm listening to them. Listening it from beginning to end on both albums, especially Supermodel. Supermodel is my favorite, but it's like you're literally going through the concepts of going through life, like, you know, coming of age, ask yourself, is this what you want to be? You know, challenging norms, knowing when you've given enough energy to things, like stuff like that in itself created a world for me. And I was like, I want to live in this Supermodel world. It's very abstract art, like, kind of vibe. And I really loved it. I still do. Definitely one of my favorites, and I recommend you listen to them. But if I'm being real, so far, just those 2 albums have created worlds for me in my head, versus the other ones they have. But I'm hoping the next one they drop does do the same for me. But yeah, they're definitely an example of people that do that for me. Kali Uchis is the 4th artist that I think creates worlds for me in my brain. I think that she is great with coming up with aesthetics. I think she's great at coming up with sounds and sounds that meet aesthetics. So she's very good at combining the two. Also very good at establishing like visual entertainment. Like she knows when things are going to smack, especially visually. And when I saw her in concert, I was blown away by just her presence, her stage presence, her idea to like, basically when she's performing, she is the attention. That's what you need to be focused on. And when I was watching her perform, I felt like I was in her own world. Like I was just there, and she was controlling everything, and it felt it felt amazing. I don't even know how to explain it. But she just is so great with that. Por Vida was a very big thing for me. That album, it literally got me through high school. Like my senior year, that was my album that I was my go-to, because it created this like, you know, life is sweet, life is beautiful. And even though there's so many things that you can take away from that album, I took away optimism, joy, and happiness. And that's what I created the world out of, and that's what I saw. And so then my ideas were like, well, I'm gonna associate all that with pastels because that was in her Por Vida stuff. So it's crazy because it does create these worlds in your head, and it creates concepts that stick and concepts that last. And that's what's really important to take away from like artists that world build, is like you can take away so much from their music that it's like they might not have even been able to see. They may not have been able to see that prior to them dropping the music, but then hearing how people relate to the music is what creates that world. And that's it's wild to me. So besides Callie, and she did the same thing when it came to her Isolation album. That one was another world on its own. And then to Feel Alive EP, that short 4-song EP created its own little world of escapism for me back when quarantine was like, you know, starting, but we're already in it. It was like the middle of quarantine last year. Yeah, that was like its own thing. I needed to hear those songs and needed to live through that to be able to be like, wow, like I want to feel something right now. You know, I want to feel more than just what the world is giving. I want to feel bigger than what the world offers. That was really what I took from it. And then her newest one, Sin Miedo, so good, so good. And that to me, it created this image of heaven and hell, but the pool between the two, and bringing both concepts to life, into the middle ground, into earth. And that, it just made me feel like more open and perceptive to what the world has to offer. So it's crazy. And then one last person, honorable mention, is Grimes. Grimes, a lot of people like her and a lot of people don't. And a lot of people don't like her because they think she's too quirky, or she's too different, or she's too weird. But I don't like to say that. I think she is on her own doing the best she is for her music, and I love it because it gives you this sense of like, this is like not 100% what people say normal music is, but it creates this world of free expression. It creates this world of being able to look at anything and say, that's what I want to talk about, or that's what I want to like think about with this song, and then associate that with the lyrics, and it draws you in. Her project Visions is one of my favorites. Also, Art Angels is so good. Those two are like their own world, like deadass. Like when I think of Art Angels, I think of like a little campy world, like a little spherical world where there's a lot of like fairies and art angels living around, and it makes me feel like I can like be all like in my head and creative and artsy and not worry about anything while I'm in that world. So that's like what I think about. And when I listen to these artists and I listen to their music, I literally put myself in that perception, like, you know, being in that world while I'm listening to it, because it creates a whole nother experience of just like, wow, like I see the vision, I am taking in the vision, and I'm learning things from this art. And that's what's really cool about it. So anyway, enough about that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you liked this and you want me to talk about like, you know, my favorite people or directors that world build within film, or, you know, even that can world build within photography, which is like so hard, I feel like, to do, then like, let me know and I will make some. But without any further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye.